how to pick up items and drop them. The items will utilize physics. Start by creating an enum. This will keep track of your items. You don't have to add all your items right away. Whenever you need to, you can just come back. Create a blueprint. This will be the pickup and the drop version of the item. Add the mesh. The item that I have comes with collision. This is ideally what you want. However, if your mesh doesn't have the correct physics, I will show you how to set that up as well. Set the collision to Physics Actor, and then Custom. And then Custom. We don't really need it to interact with the pawn, since we're going to pick it up using a separate collision. You want to turn off the response towards the character. Then, using a delay, we'll turn it back on. This delay is very important, and I'll explain why soon. On Begin Overlap, we can cast to our character. Usually you want to avoid casting, but if your game only has one character, it's not a problem. Create an event. Add the enum variable as an input. Call the event and set the item. Spawning the item can be done in so many ways, but I will show you the method I believe is the best, because it gives you the most control over where to place it. Select the mesh, and then add a sphere. Remove the mesh. Add a child actor. Set it to be the item. To correctly align it, once it's good, you can remove the child actor. Create another version of the same class. This will be the one that you'll equip. You could technically do everything in one class, but it's a bit more complicated. Delete all the code and turn off all collision. Spawn actor from class. Split the transform. We don't actually need to fill in these values since we're going to move it to the sphere we made earlier. Create a variable of type actor. Set the ref to be the parent and snap to target. Create a variable of the enum type. You can either set the item from the event directly or manually. I prefer to see the value. That way I know exactly which item it is. To drop the item, we must first check if we're currently equipping something. If we are, then we can drop it. spawn the drop version of the item. Here you can set the location to be the ref. Add impulse. And for the best results, check the vel change. For location, you can really do whatever you want, but in most cases, you probably want it to go forward. We can randomize the values a little bit to mix things up. This is why the delay is important. If you drop the item without it, you will just pick it up again. So we wait a little bit until it's possible to pick it up. Before moving on, it's a good idea to add an empty item slot. So when we don't have an item equipped, it's set to empty. It's not working. Even though everything is set correctly, we need to recompile the pickup class. After dropping, set item to none. Assuming you're not spawning with an item, set the variable's default value to none. Do the same thing for your other item. When it comes to the equipping part, different items can have different shapes. Either you can make a separate reference for different types of items, or you can manually adjust the transform to align with the reference. This may give you some weird results, so beware. Also create the pickup version. Before picking up a new item, we must remove our current one. You can also choose to drop the previous item. This can be useful in cases where you have full items, for example. You may notice the camera being weird. This is due to the collision overlapping the camera. So this is how to do it if your mesh already has collision. If it doesn't, you can use a cube or another shape instead. For the scale, I like to make sure that it covers the most important parts. Make sure to turn off all the collision for the item mesh, and to parent both the box collision and item to the shape. Now let's go through some examples of issues you may encounter. This happens because the equipped version of your weapon contains collision, so make sure to turn that off. This happens if the equipped mesh has physics turned on. This can happen if your mesh isn't parented to the shape or if the mesh has collision.